In my last video, we worked on basic patterns using single note snare drum comping phrases. If you're new to jazz comping, I'd highly recommend checking that out first. Now in today's video, we're going to build on that using some two-note snare drum combinations. This is where your comping patterns and ideas will really start to open up. Alright, we're going to smash through these. There's quite a few combinations to get through, so I'm just going to demonstrate a couple of bars of each example. So these might take some time to get down, so make sure you start slowly, one exercise at a time. Work through the coordination, and when that's feeling comfortable, then you can add in the metronome and then increase the speed from there. A good goal to aim for is about 120 BPM, as that's a nice medium swing tempo. So we're still keeping the jazz ride pattern and the hi-hats playing on 2 and 4. So notation wise, for each example here, we're using swing 8s. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and becomes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so first we're going to start with some quarter note examples. So the first example we have is just playing beats 1 and 2. Alright, so now we're going to move the 2 snare drum notes over 1, so we get beats 2 and 3. So we're going to shift it across one more, and we get beats 3 and 4. And then the last permutation in this example is going to be the 4 and the 1. So I'd recommend with this one, just because we are starting the phrase on 4, don't play the first beat 1, but then every bar after that when we loop, we will play it. So that's the 4 quarter note or crotchet permutations. And now we're going to move on to some 8th note variations. So we're going to start with the 1 and 1 and. So again, we're going to use the same process. We're just going to shift those 8th notes across to get the next variation. And the reason we're doing this is just to develop fluidity and freedom, coordination and independence wise, so that when you're then improvising with these ideas, if you've covered all the coordination possibilities, then when you're playing a song and you feel like playing some snares on the 1 and 2, then you can, because you've worked on that in the practice room. So this is a great approach to developing 2-note snare drum independence. So the next example we have is the 1 and 2. Then we have the 2, 2 and. And then we have the 2 and into the 3. Now, similar to the first video, because the jazz ride symbol is a 2-beat pattern, the second half of the bar is exactly the same. So, what that means is that by playing the 1, 1 and, 2, 2, 2 and 2 and 3, they're the exact same coordination patterns as the 3, 3 and, 3 and 4, 4, 4 and 4 and 1. So the good news is the next 4 coordination patterns you've already played, but we're just going to start the same coordinations in the second half of the bar. So we're going to start with the 3, 3 and. Then we're going to do the 3 and 4. Then we have the 4, 4 and. And then lastly, we have the 4 and into 1. So like we did before, I'd recommend starting this on the 4 and don't play the 1 in the first bar, and then loop round to the 1 and continue to play it each time after that. Alright, great, so we've covered some quarter note and some 8th note examples. So now we're going to take the quarter note examples from before, like the 1 and the 2, and we're going to shift them by an 8th note. So we now get the 1 and 2 and. Now we're going to take the 2, 3, shift that across, and turn it into the 2 and 3 and. Next, we get the 3 and 4 and. And then we have the 4 and into the 1, and remember in the first bar, we're going to start the phrase on the 4 and not play that 1 and until it loops around. Okay, great. So now we've done some quarter note with some quarter note displacements. We've done some 2-note, 8th note examples. So now we're going to have a go spacing them out a little further away in the bar. So the first example we're going to do is the 1 and the 3 and. And if we're being really specific, these next examples are spaced 5 8th notes away from each other. So now if we displace this example 1 8th note across, we get the 1 and beat 4. Shift it across again and we get 2 and 4 and. And then the fourth variation here, we get the 2 and back to the 1. So there are plenty more examples, we've just covered a few today, but these will give you a really good start to building independence with your left-hand snare drum combinations underneath the jazz ride cymbal and hi-hat pattern. So, once these coordination exercises are down, and remember it will take time, so practice them slowly, put on the metronome. You might have to slow these down to where you're just playing one note at a time and figuring out where everything lines up, and that's totally fine and that's part of the process. So once these are comfortable, it's time to start mixing ideas together. And this is a really important step to take these from exercises to flowing musically when you're improvising. So we're just going to cover a few improvisation frameworks that you can have a play around with, see which ones you like and mix and match ideas, and after some time the ideas will just naturally flow in your own way. The first one we're going to do is just one bar of ride cymbal, so we're just going to play the ride pattern with the hats, and then we're going to insert a 2-note pattern of our choice. So you can chop and change and switch the 2-note example that you use each time, or you can stick with one to get you started. Next, we're going to pick 2 examples and just switch between them. Now you can also add in bars of just ride cymbal and hi-hats as well, because this can break up the phrasing nicely. For this example, let's use the 1 3 and then let's do 2 2 and. Okay, so the third example would be to pick 3 rhythms and interchange them. So then as well, if you want, you can swap out just the ride and hi-hat pattern and add in another comping example there, so you can have 3 patterns that you interchange between. Let's do 1 1 and, 2 4 and 2 and 3 and. And so you can see I'm just using 3 examples there, but the ideas can really open up and start to become creative. The last step is to just improvise freely playing the ride cymbal. So you can put on a click or play along to one of your favorite jazz songs and just improvise using these 2-note examples. You can have the sheet music next to you if you want as a reference, but after some time the ideas will start to become more familiar, and then you can just explore some creative ideas and have fun playing these examples. So work on these exercises and then have a go improvising and seeing what ideas you can come up with. Let me know in the comments what videos you'd like to see next. If you want some guidance, I offer one-on-one online coaching, so if you're interested in that, hit the link in the description. And if you're looking to improve your 3-note jazz ride cymbal technique, then check out this video here on how to do that.